Hey, it's x-tec again. This video today is going to check out Todd Gibson's uploads for doing a clean image 3.0 installation in WinVice. And I've already downloaded his zip files for both the CMD and the Lieutenant Colonel, and I've extracted them into their own folders on my Downloads Todd Gibson folder. So since I've been using WinVice on my PC, I know that there's some initialization settings that I want to keep before I begin to run his files because they will change. So in order to get to those, I'm going to go into my local disk C, into the users folder. I'm in the owner account. I'm going to double click on app data, roaming, Vice. And notice there's a file here called Vice INI. I'm going to load that up into my editor, and you can see that I've got configurations for both the C64SC and the SCPU, and they're all identified to locations where my files are for the WinVice version that I'm using. So what I'm going to do is just save as a text file, which I've already got on this folder as vice.bak.txt. So since I've already got it saved, I don't actually have to save it, but you're going to want to save a file before you begin. Okay, so that's all I need out of that. I can close this folder. I'm going to open up the folder that I dissolved his CMD image into, and I'm going to double click on the readme.txt file. We're going to follow the procedures pretty much throughout this demo to check out the validity of his easy setup file. So he wants us to, the first part of it is this is a disclaimer, and he explains his inbound port for TCP Server 1.1, and he's using Vice Kluge port 6400 at 38400 baud. He gives the partition information of where the files are at, and he says to run from Windows 10, click on runme.bat. So we're going to find the runme.bat and double click on it. Now it's going to bring up WinVice. This command folder can be closed. This one is the one for TCP serve that it's running in, and then it loads up the WinVice folder. Now the first thing we're going to have to do before we begin, this is not included in the text file. Let's bring up the text file here. First thing we're going to have to do is go into settings. Okay, in settings for the machine, let's just verify that the model is C64C NTSC, and the VIC2 model is 8562, and the SID model is 8580, and the CIA model are these two as seen right here. So nothing wrong there in this case. Then I'm going to check the ROM settings. For the kernel, he's got SCPU, and that's going to be part of the that's going to be found in the binary files, hopefully. Now his drive ROMs, he's got the CMD, the DOS CMD HD, and apparently he must have the CMD HD also in his binary file. So, but I'm going to click on Browse, click on my downloads, click on Todd Gibson. This the binary file. Actually, he's probably got it in the drives file. You're going to have to click on all files, and there it is, DOS CMD HD. Okay, so we're going to leave all the other machine drive ROMs the same as they are here in the setting, just to see if they work. Next, we're going to go into peripheral devices. Click on drive and make sure that the drives are set properly. Drive 8 is CMD HD. Drive 9 is a CMD FD4000. Drive 10 is an FD4000. Drive 11 is an FD4000. I don't know if he's got any disks already attached to those locations, but we'll find out in a minute. Now, go to the RS-232 settings. You need to make sure that enable for the AICA RS-232 interface emulation is checked. The base address is DE00. We're using an NMI IRQ and a Swift link. And down here, we're set for serial 2 at 127.001.25:25:232 for the Swift link Turbo 232 with IP 232 address. All right, we're going to close this now. In his configuration, in his README text file, he says to load image 3.0, 8, 1 and type run. Well, it's a lot simpler than that. All you have to do is hold down Shift and hit Escape. Press 1 to configure a new BBS. Okay, we're pressing 1. Part 1, sysop information. I'm just going to use the defaults by hitting the Enter key throughout this entire section. That's correct. Select 2 to set image 3.0 system clock from the CMD drive. Well, what do we have on? Okay, so we're going to press 2 and use CMD device 8. Is that correct? Yes. Alright, now we want the partitions. System device 8, drive 1. Email device 8, drive 4. Etc. Drive 8, 9. Directory 8, 10. Plus file 8, drive 1. User device 8, drive 11. Let me double check this. 8.1, 8.4, 8.9, 8.10, 8.1, 8.11. So that's correct. BBS information, I'm going to use the default settings just by hitting return. And we're going into the part where image creates the rel files that it needs in order to run. And we're going to hit any key right here, and we're going to enter 1 for Swift Link according to the instructions right over here. Okay, the BBS is going to finish booting up, and it will automatically run auto maintenance. So far, so good. I'm going to hit the F1 key at this point, just so I can see what's going on. Okay, auto maintenance is running. It says verify that the date and time is set correctly. If date and time it needs to be set, press 1 from the idle screen to set the date and time. Date and time is correct, so we don't need to press 1. We're going to select, since the light bar is already in the low position, we press F7 to log on. Press I for instant. Enter the password. And next it says to set your time zone. I'm in time zone 7. Select MP at the main prompt, he says. And turn the more prompt off. That's done. Okay. Select I am at the main prompt to go to the configuration editor. Choose I for miscellaneous features. Choose G for time zone. We're in time zone 7. Choose J for system ID. Any 2 characters. I'm just going to use I am. Click on N to quit back to the configuration editor. Choose B for setup, import, or choose J for modem config. Choose B for setup, import, modem config. Choose 1 for setup new modem config. Press Y to continue. Press Y for are you sure. Brand name SwiftLink, he said. Author CMD. Custom initialization string. Leave blank. Hit enter. Maximum connection rate 7. Answer method or hang up method D, he says. Now I disagree with using DTR hang up because we're running in WinVice. If you use DTR hang up in WinVice, it'll cause problems with disconnecting TCP serve from the RS-232 port on your WinVice setup. It's better to use the escape codes. So we're going to, in this case, I'm going to use E. Answer method A. Use ATH after escape code H. When in local mode H. Need 0 after ATH. 0. Should ATH be used in modem reset init string H? ATX string 1. Is DTR in this normal or reverse? We say normal. CTI or bell, he says CCITI. I've been using bell, but it probably doesn't make any difference. We'll go with the 0. RS-232 interface type 1. Caller ID 0. Then hit any key when instructed. Hit X to go back to the configuration editor. First, we're going to check that all the settings are correct. And they look like they are. So we're going to exit. And we're going to choose H for light bar alarms. Select A for light bar defaults. Go to page 4 by hitting N 3 times. And then enter. And enter. And enter. Type 5 to put a check mark next to SCP-L. SCP-L. Done. That's the super. That tells it we have a super CPU configured. He says type 14 to put a check mark next to DSR-R. Now what this is going to do is enable the receive transmit windows. One thing he admitted, and now because we configured the modem to use escape codes, we have to use 13. We have to also enter 13 to use DCD DSR. Type quit. Save changes, yes. I'm going to type D to quit and Q to quit. Back to the main prompt. And his instructions say once you are back to the idle, he says type O exclamation point to log off. In my opinion, you should only type O to log off and then answer yes when it asks you to update your user file. Otherwise, it's probably not going to save your settings for more prompt off. Okay, you can see TCP Sir is going kind of crazy up here. It's not logging me off. I'm in the modem config. I'm in the modem, the sub.modem module, and it's just constantly cycling through these error messages in TCP Sir. So let's see what we can do about that. Hit the F6 key 3 times. Let's hit the F5 key to go over to this DSR. And let's put our check marks next to 7 and 8. Okay, now we can see the response code, or the haze commands going out to the modem and the response codes that are coming back. If it doesn't see an OK out here, it's never going to reset the modem. And here's what we got. We got a problem. So we can do a hard reset by hitting Alt F12. And we'll try to do a Shift Escape to reboot image and see what happens. I'm going to hit my F1 key at this point so I can see what's going on here. Alright, so we're locked up in sub.modem. modem. The first haste commands got sent out to the TCP SIR, and TCP SIR has already disconnected from the RS-232 port. Alright, to get around this, I'm going to have to close WinVice, close TCP SIR, go back into the runme.bat file and see if this, and double click on it, which is going to load a new copy of TCP SIR. It's going to bring up WinVice. I'm going to hit Shift Escape to load image. I'm going to press F1 so I can see what's going on. Alright, now you see we're getting our response codes back from TCP SIR. See how far we get, and if we get an OK, then it's going to finish initializing. So it doesn't look like it's going to initialize properly. What I did to get out of that routine is to continually hit the tab key until it came up to the system idle screen. Something's going on in TCP/Sir. Not really sure what it is. Right now we shouldn't be seeing any lines coming up in the command window. Now I haven't done a darn thing. And look what's happening. I'm going to do a hard reset with Alt F12. I'm going to go into settings. And peripheral devices. And RS-232. I'm going to change this to use serial port 2. And close. Does it make a difference? I'm going to reboot image. So this time it's not communicating at all with TCP/SIR. Close device. Close TCP/SIR. Bring up the runme.bat file again. All right, let's see what happens if we configure let's take a look at the TCP/SIR bat file that Todd provided. See what the configuration settings are. This is a little different from the one that I use. He's got a right here. This is part of the configuration for TCP/SIR. It's TS capital S I capital T M capital M. Don't know what that means, but it's a little different than what I've got configured for my TCP/SIR. So let's go back into the README file, find out where the e.dot files are at. The etc. device is 8.9. So I'm going to type CP9, or I'm sorry, Jiffy DOS is at CP9. I'm going to do at $e.mo star. And I'm going to delete that with the F8. Now I'm going to do at $E.I. star. And I'm going to cursor up here and hit F8 to delete that one. Okay, at CP1. And let's reboot image again. We're going to have to go back in and reconfigure the modem. I'm hitting the F7 key to log on in instant mode. Type in the password. Notice we got that more prompt again. So item 7. Now I'm going to type IM. The miscellaneous features, they're already configured. So we'll go to modem config. B1, yes, yes, Swift link, CMD, enter, 7, this time we'll use DTR hangup, auto, H, 0, H, 1, normal. I'm going to use Bell this time, and Swift link, and 0. Exit the modem config, go into the light bar settings, A, next, A, next, I'm going to uncheck item 13, quit, save changes, quit, I'm going to do that more prompt thing again, turn it off, and I'm going to log off with O. Just hit enter, 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 and where it says update user file, I'm going to hit enter for yes. I'm going to uncheck this DSR. I'm going to go over here to DCD. Might not have to do anything there. We'll see. Yeah, okay, so we reverted back to the idle screen. Still see things going on though with the config, with the TCP ser. So I'm going to exit out of ICE, exit out of TCP ser. We run the run me bat file. Shift escape. I'm going to use F6 to cursor over to page 4. See what happens when we load the default light bar settings. Now I'm getting some OKs coming in on the receive window. So I should get to the submodem and get to the idle screen. but I'm still noticing activity in TCP SIR. Not sure why. And notice that it's causing image to come up and answer again. So this is kind of a bust, I'd say. I'm going to do Alt F12. I'm going to exit out of TCP SIR. I've got a file on my hard drive that I use for initializing TCP SIR on port 6400. Let's just look at that. Okay. My initialization for TCP SIR doesn't include that item that showed up in his configuration. It's just it sets the V to 25232, speed 38.4, port 6400, and identifies the busy answer connect. There's a number in here which you don't need. That's a dial-out number conversion from phone number to URL. And what I'm going to do is run my TCP SIR start file. And then come boot up image 3.0. Alright, notice the TCP SIR window tells me DTR has gone high, disconnecting modem, disconnecting control 9 CSR. Okay, so it's sitting there. TCP SIR is not doing anything as it should. So I'm going to minimize these windows here. And load up CG term. And try to call in, see what happens. And I have to, since I don't have this configured as a DNS forwarding for this particular installation, I just have to run my IP address, which is 192.168.6400. Okay, so I'm able to log on. I'm in 80 columns, yes. I hit return. My handle is 1. My login ID is 1. Password. Login successful. So I guess there's a lot to be said about how TCP-SIR is configured. I'm going to go into ZZ mode, go into IM, bring up the modem config. I'm going to change from DTR hangup to escape codes. Exit. Update the modem flags, yes. I'm going to go back to my light bar configurations. A. Go to page 4. And enter 13 to use DCD DSR. Changes, yes. And then I'm also going to quit out of this, and on the WinVice version I'm going to cursor over to the light bar DSR position and hit F7. Okay, now I'm going to log off. This time I can use the % quotation mark since I've already saved my settings and I haven't changed any of my settings for my user account. And if you notice in CG term I did disconnect. And the board is resetting. So I guess that's what I've learned about Todd's setup. It appears to me that that little configuration statement that he used in his TCP-SIR doesn't like my computer for some reason. I'm pretty sure it's working okay on his, I would think anyway, but you saw what happened on my computer. So why don't we just end this video for now and call it a day.